Now we get to the reboot. So I've already talked about the original a little bit, and I gotta tell you, I'm seeing a little bit of surprising reviews on this one right here. Now, I'll tell you, Internet Movie Database gave it a 67. Google users gave it up to 83. So 80 to 83 for them. Here's the part that absolutely shocks me, and I'm only saying this because I never see this with this source anywhere for any type of movie. And like I said, they gave The Avengers a 93, 94. They gave this show a 100%, like a straight 100%. Excuse me, like A+ we're talking about here. I mean, it's insane just to see that from Rotten Tomatoes. Now, before I get to how Common Sense Media breaks it down, as you know, that's one of my favorite websites, along with, like Screen Rant and stuff like that. One person here says, it feels so good to watch iCarly revival after 10 years. I still remember my childhood when I was a small kid and used to watch iCarly on Nickelodeon every night. Those childhood days were amazing. They really were. I mean, Friday nights, new episodes, Drake and Josh, Zoe 101, Nez Declassified, amazing. The new revival brings all the nostalgic moments back. I must say that all the cast members did a particular job in portraying their role smoothly even after so many years. Hats off to the new characters. They did a fine job as well. Fridays are the absolute best with brand new episodes of freaking iCarly. I simply absolutely love iCarly being rebooted. I grew up watching it when it came out in 2007. The show brings back Nora and Neville, as crazy as they were, and everyone except Sam, played by Jeanette McCurdy, and they also didn't bring back Gibby, played by Noah Monk. So this person says here, it's good, it's nostalgic, I found comfort from this show growing up. This person says, I love this show. This person says, nothing can beat the original show, but it's still very worth watching. Let's see what the crazy negative reviews have to say. The original iCarly was by far the best kid show to me, and my siblings watched a lot when we were younger, but the reboot is just too much to me, if I'm being honest. They're cramming so much into this show and trying way too hard to be politically correct. Most people watch shows and movies to get away from all the politics and things happening in the world. Why bring this to a reboot of a very loved and respected kid show? It's not even focused on comedy or normal plot. It's just a bunch of random, off-putting, left field characters smushed together. And the show is really disappointing because I was hoping this wasn't going to be like most shows nowadays. We can't get away from anything anymore. I don't know too much about that one right there. I will say this. Now, to those of you who grew up on the original show that didn't watch the reboot, this may or may not be surprising to you, but there was a hint of LGBT up in the show. I mean, you had some of the major characters and like one of the recurring characters. They were, so there one girl in there was bi. Let's just say that one girl was bisexual, and she was played by Laci Mosley. Her character was Harper. So here's the cast. So you had Nathan Kress, Miranda Cosgrove, Jerry Trainor. They reprised their roles as Freddie, Carly, and Spencer, respectively. Laci Mosley played Harper Betancourt. You had Jaidyn Triplett play Millicent Mitchell, and she was the stepdaughter of Freddie. You have Carmela Zumbato. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It seems like that's how I was pronouncing it. Forgive me if that's wrong. She played Gwen, which is Freddie's ex-wife, and so Millicent is her daughter. And then you have Mia Serafino, played Pearl, which was Freddie's girlfriend for a number of episodes. Like, she was a brief girlfriend for like 8, maybe 9 episodes. And then you have Drew Roy, who played Griffin. And as I said, you have a few people that are in this show that are missing from the original. Well, not much, but just 2. I mean, you had Lubert return, but you have Mary Scheer reprising her role as Freddie's mother, Marissa. Jeremy Rowley, or Rowley, however you pronounce that, he played Lubert. Patty Guggenheim played Tinsley, who was one of Harper's friends, and eventually, she became a girlfriend. And you had some of that stuff up in there, but they didn't overemphasize it to a point, the LGBT to a point where it's like, oh, and I was actually looking for something that showed where conservatives were complaining, like, oh, this is just more woke garbage. So surprisingly, I haven't seen anything like that. So now let's go to Common Sense Media to see how they broke the show down. Because I love Common Sense Media. Great website. Hats off to those who created the site. Here we go. Our review. And I'm sorry, that's the wrong show. Let me go to... I can't believe I'm doing this right here. I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry, but It was supposed to take me directly to the Reboot show and how they broke it down on Commons Media. It went to the original. So now I have to type in iCarly on there. And here we go. iCarly 2021. Grown-up Nickelodeon classic leans heavily on nostalgia. Educational value? None really. Positive messages? Some satire of online culture that points out its negative aspects and an emphasis on friendship, but there's also a strong focus on dating and a relatively shallow main character. Positive role models? 1 out of 5. Carly is a strong and entrepreneurial female character, but otherwise she's not a stellar role model. She's boy crazy, makes jokes based on stereotypes, and doesn't seem interested in intellectual pursuits. Is there violence? Not really. Mild meanness between characters, but there's no punching or kicking or fighting or throwing stuff or nothing like that. That's just not there. Now, what's the story? Carly Shay and her brother Spencer and Freddie reprised their original characters 10 years after the original series ended. Carly is a 20-something who has finished college but is uninspired by career options in the real world. She decides the best way to find happiness is to revive her old iCarly video channel with Spencer, a famous sculptor, and Freddie, a washed-up startup guy, beside her. Her best friend Sam from the original series is not in this reboot, and Carly explains her absence by saying Sam is following her bliss in a biker gang. Carly lives down the hall from her brother, still in the Bushwell Plaza apartment building, with a new character, Harper, played by Laci Mosley, a formerly wealthy, down-on-her-luck barista with dreams of becoming a stylist. Freddie's snarky tween stepdaughter, Millicent, Jaidyn Triplett, is another addition to the cast. Millicent is trying to become an influencer too, and mostly makes fun of Carly for being an old. When she's not trying to revive her influencer career, Carly is also trying to find success in the dating department. She desperately wants to find a partner and makes questionable decisions in her pursuit to land a guy. Can Carly win back her channel's audience and find love in the process? Now, is it any good? I think it's pretty good. Now, the original show I would give about a 9.5. This show I can give about a 9. Both shows I feel deserve a 9 because, again, the only thing that could have made the show a little bit better is two things. One, they didn't have to end it on that ridiculous cliffhanger. And two, they could have brought back 2 of the old characters, Sam and Gibby. I felt that would have made it so much better. And that's just the case with a lot of shows. Fans of the original iCarly will probably feel like they're catching up with an old friend, but anyone who's coming to it as a new viewer will likely watch and soon wonder why. The intended audience of this reboot is a bit of a mystery. It's not like tweens like the original series. The grown-up plot lines make it pretty irrelevant for kids. It's possibly meant for fans of the original series who are now 20-somethings like the characters on the show, but it's hard to imagine adults finding the slapstick humor and shallow storylines entertaining as grown-ups. The original iCarly series was amazingly prescient and predicted the era of influencers. But for today's kids, Carly's an old who's still video streaming and probably doesn't understand TikTok. Carly's whole boy crazy, not serious about intellectual pursuits trope isn't really a good look on an adult character in 2021. That's arguable and that's understandable, but again, it is a show designed to entertain. And while the jokes have been updated to be somewhat more progressive, there are finally more racially diverse main characters on the show. The show still relies on stereotypes for humor. The best part of this reboot is the new character Harper, whose outsized portrayal by Laci Mosley is genuinely funny. Now, talk to your kids about this. Families can talk about being a creator influencer on social media like iCarly. Do the positives outweigh the negatives? The positives being self-expression, influence, the negatives being internet trolls, need to get likes. On the negative side, yeah, there's going to be internet trolls, and what I've learned to do recently, and especially even just through posting like political stuff and talking about shows and movies on Facebook and Instagram and whatnot, I've learned to just cut those people out and just, hey, people are going to be idiots and people are going to be just trolls who just want to bring you down because they know they're not bright and they have nothing to show for themselves. So just ignore that. The positive side is you being strong enough to overcome that. And as far as the need to get likes, well, a channel, if you do a YouTube channel or any other type of video, it becomes successful because of the likes. So if you do a bunch of videos and each video gets 1 to 5 likes, that's not really successful now, is it? But you look at any of these YouTubers you see on here, They all have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of likes, millions of viewers, and millions of subscribers. And that's how you become successful. It is a business, so to say. Carly's a young adult in this show. Would you like to have a life like hers as an adult? Why or why not? It really just depends on what you want to do. Now, me, I do this video right here, but of course, mine is a little bit different. It's intended to be a little bit serious, more serious for the most part. But again, it's not directly comparable because it is a show. Now, here's the parts that I want to get to. Here's the controversies. There is something that they presented in this show that was not in the original show. And they do use... So it says right here, according to comic book, iCarly fans are flipping out over Curly cursing in the reboot. They're flipping out about the cursing. The new iCarly, to be fair, is aimed at an older crowd, namely fans of the original series, who are now anywhere from their upper teens to post-college age. In other words, the kids who grew up on the original iCarly are more than just a little familiar with the adult language that's in the new revival series. Taking all that into consideration, there's been a mixed range of reactions from fans of iCarly who are jumping into the new series. Some appreciate that the show has grown up alongside its fans. Others are having a hard time adjusting. Here's what iCarly viewers are saying about the cursing in the 2021 revival series. And here's one of the things that was said in the show.
Like Harper always says, you gotta switch it up on a bitch.
Now, a lot of people thought that was hilarious. A lot of people were offended by it, and maybe some people didn't care. And I gotta be honest with you, me, myself, because almost everything I watch has cursing anyway, whether it's mild or moderate or extreme. I mean, anything, legal dramas, SVU, Criminal Minds. Of course, you got adult cartoons, Family Guy, South Park, The Simpsons. And then, of course, there's all the horror films where all of them all pretty much do it all the time. Scream, Halloween, Freddy, Jason, they all do it. Now, I do understand the argument that this show shouldn't be doing it because it was based off of an original from Nickelodeon. And Nickelodeon is supposed to be geared to kids and preteens and teens and young adults. And it's supposed to be a family-oriented thing. And you don't want kids to hear that. I get that. But I don't even know if they warned about that show. And I've warned about that when the show first started. I don't know because I don't even remember it that much when the reboot first came out. I had Paramount Plus, but I just didn't. I don't know. I didn't care at the time. But, and to those of you who are sitting there going like, wait a minute, did she just say that? Okay, let's do it again.
Like Harper always says, you gotta switch it up on a bitch.
Yeah, she actually just said that. That actually was said in that show. So, and don't worry, it's not like real extreme. You don't have to worry about F or S or P or D or anything like that. I'm just saying the letters right here because I'm trying to keep it clean on here. But anybody, you know what I'm talking about. I don't have to go there. You know what I'm talking about. One person on Twitter named Serena said, Carly cursing? With all capital letters and a bunch of exclamation points and question marks. Yeah, that happened. The iCarly reboot is aimed for older audiences, which means they're cursing on the show. They also had some minor sex references and jokes in there. I mean, it's, you know, nothing extreme. Obviously, nobody was naked or there was no thrusting or anything like that. I mean, that happens. These iCarly episodes have so much cursing and I love it. And listen, I'm not going to decide to not watch it because it is, but I'm not going to decide to not watch it because it's not. At the end of the day, is the show good is the real question. Please, watching the iCarly reboot makes me feel 7 again, but it's also nice watching it as an 18-year-old with all the cursing, blah, blah, blah. Fans have been saying it. And then also, spoiler alert, spoiler. To those of you who are watching the show but didn't finish it, here's a spoiler. And if you don't want to hear it, cut the video off right now and then come back to watch this after the 14-minute mark, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. Unless you don't care about the spoiler, but either way, I'm going to talk about it. So it turns out that there was this trend, this hashtag that got started in the original show that continued into the reboot. It's called Creddy. Basically, Carly and Freddie, which means they should get together, which is what they did. Now, even though I give the show a 9, this is the part right here that absolutely ticked me off. Absolutely. Hold on, iCarly reboot. What's it called? A cliffhanger. This right here ticked me off. This ticked me off right here. Wow. Now, this is according to Screen Rant. As the Freddy actor alludes to, the show ends on a major cliffhanger when Carly and Spencer's mom appears right before Carly and Freddy's wedding, despite being absent from the original series and revival up to that point. Additionally, audiences never saw a long-awaited wedding between Carly and Freddy. So, what that's saying is that on the very last episode of season 3 of this reboot show, what happened was Carly and Freddy were getting ready to be married, and right before they say I do, they look to the side off camera, but the camera doesn't actually show who they're looking at. And Carly looks over and says, "Mom?" And she said, "OMG." And then Spencer said, "OMG." And they're just staring. And then Laci's character, Harper, said, "You got a mom?" And it cut to the end credits. And we were just like, what the heck? Why? Why do shows have a tendency to do that? You end on a season, you have to tie up the loose ends, don't leave a cliffhanger, because we understand that there's a chance you can cancel the show, and if the show cancels on a cliffhanger, we never know the answers to anything. And I've talked about this on almost every video. They did the same thing with One of Us is Lying. They did it with the End Game. And there was another show that I was watching in which they did that with, and they did it with iCarly, with Victoria Justice and a few of them. So apparently the show got canceled after the 3rd season. The article came out last month. Now, according to MovieWeb, it says, if iCarly is canceled, will we ever get any answer to that major cliffhanger? The 4th season of iCarly has been canceled. What does this mean for the cliffhanger ending in season 3? Nickelodeon's iCarly has been a childhood staple for many. When the reboot of the series was announced by Paramount, fans were over the moon. With a good dose of nostalgia and new narratives, the reboot soon became a favorite of those who had grown up with the adventures of Carly, Sam, Freddy, Spencer, and the gang. The reboot now has had 3 seasons, beginning in June of 2021. Season 3 of the revival concluded on July 27th of 2023. The revival followed the now adult iCarly characters as they navigated adulthood's romance, friendships, family, and work. The 3rd season of the revival ended with a major cliffhanger, leaving fans sure of a new season. However, in a shock move, Paramount Plus announced that the show will not be renewed for a 4th season. Fans have quite unexpectedly been quite frustrated and wondering if they will ever find answers to the last season's cliffhanger. Okay, let me respond to that by saying I partly disagree with that, and here's the reason why. It says, however, in a shock move, they announced that the show will be canceled. You know what? I've watched so much TV. I watched so many shows and so many movies, and I've come across so many different cliffhangers. For as disappointing and irritating and frustrating as it is, it's not shocking to me. It's just like, of course that would happen. And it says fans have quite unexpectedly been quite frustrated and wondering if they'll ever find answers to the last season. First of all, it's not unexpected. Oh, I'm sorry. That was a mistake on my part. I read that wrong. I thought it said unexpectedly. It just said expectedly. Because I was going to say, if it's unexpected, then I don't know how you can end a show on a major cliffhanger and you don't expect people to be upset about that. That just happens. So, according to MovieWeb, why was the show canceled? Season 3 of iCarly brought fans something they had been hoping to see for a number of years. Freddy and Carly getting together. Creddy. I didn't make that up. They said that in the original show. Look it up. The couple had a short relationship in the original Nickelodeon series, which they called off. When the couple finally decided to get back together in episode 3 of the 3rd season, I Make New Memories, fans were ecstatic. It took us long enough, replied Carly in the episode when Freddy asked her if they were finally going to be together, no doubt echoing the thought of many fans. Now, what does this mean for the cliffhanger ending? Season 3 ended on a significantly large cliffhanger. The season after having Freddy and Carly finally become a couple led to the marriage of the couple in its finale. The wedding between the two is a sudden decision when Danica informs everyone that Marissa and Lubert have decided to elope. Just as Freddy and Carly are about to say I do, Carly and Freddy's mother shows up, much to the astonishment of Carly and Spencer. Did I say Carly and Freddy? I meant Carly and Spencer. Carly and Spencer's mother show up, much to their astonishment. The camera never pans to reveal the identity of the mother, and the episode draws to a close. Now, the question is, will the fans ever get closure? We don't know. And I say, here's the very best thing that I think that iCarly could do. If Paramount Plus decides to not pick up another season, maybe Miranda Cosgrove and Nathan Kress and a lot of the other people, maybe they can talk to, I don't know how it works exactly. This is just me spitballing and just speculating, throwing out because I've never worked with TV shows, so I don't know how it works exactly. But maybe they can talk to executives at Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus or Max or Peacock or Tubi or stars or something where they can, you know, just get them to pick up the show. And maybe they don't even have to do a whole season. Maybe they can end it on a movie. You know, either it can be a 1 hour special, or maybe they can just make it a movie, an hour and a half movie, an hour and 40 minutes like they did Zoe 102. Maybe they could do that. You know, Drake and Josh ended on a movie. Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh came out 2008. They did that. A lot of other shows, I don't know if they did that. Some probably did, some didn't. But I thought that ending was, the ending itself was all right, and it left us in question. But the fact that Paramount Plus just canceled it, I mean, that's just absolute BS. I mean, that is just a load of crap. Now, here's a question that they've been asking. If the mother showed up, who would have played the mother? At first, I would have had no idea who would have been playing the mother for Carly and Spencer. But you know what I thought of? Here's a theory. And I think this would make sense, and it would get so many viewers. If they were going to bring this show back and they were going to show the mother, I think that the mother should be played by Nancy Sullivan, who played the mom, Audrey, on Drake and Josh, because she was Miranda Cosgrove's mother on that show. Miranda Cosgrove played Megan on the show. I think that would be perfect. Now, at this point, the show is canceled. So I don't know what, are they just going to leave it like that and just leave fans disappointed? Or are they going to do the right thing and somehow come back? And I think that instead of you don't even have to produce a 4th season. Like I said, you can end it on a movie and then make sure the movie ties up the loose ends and it doesn't leave a single cliffhanger. Stop with the cliffhangers. Oh my gosh. Oh goodness. So as you can tell, this show was a lot different than the original, but it was also, again, there were a lot of differences, but there were also a lot of similarities. And anybody who grew up on the original show, I think that at least 90% of people, 85 to 90% of people would love this reboot. And both shows are available to watch on Paramount Plus, and I suggest checking it out. So a lot of you might agree with what I'm saying, a lot might disagree, but again, that's just what the show was. I will be talking about other shows and movies on this channel. Like and subscribe. So, yeah, iCarly Reboot, it was wild to say the least.